What is up? Hey guys, it's TJ and it's with Uncommon. If you're new to this segment, every Thursday we jump in here and talk about husbands, dads, or leaders. And so this week we're getting ready to get into some leadership conversations. And so I got our U version or YouTube. Um, right now here, and also we're on Instagram. So if you're just seeing the notification, hop on in. We'll take and wait a little bit, make sure everybody gets a chance to arrive. So also, if you get in here, leave a comment. We're going to be doing some a poll on YouTube, and so if you want to leave a comment on Instagram, that is great as well. Um, and so, again, we're stepping in here to do some work on leadership this week. If you're new to this ministry, we focus on husbands, dads, and leaders. So let's just get after it. We're going to have some supportive links in the description of our YouTube video, as well as in the comment section of our Instagram piece. So let's get after it. Um, in case you were looking at some of the graphics around this live, you may have thought I had a typo, meant to say her. It's arm day at the gym. But au contraire, mon ami, her, H-U-R. If you don't know who that is, don't feel out of place. Last week I was in church and the pastor was talking about a very interesting story in Exodus. And so this kind of jumped out at me. And so I wanted to mention this guy's name in our session. So it's around the story you find in Exodus 17, 8 through 16. You may know it when I start talking about it. So it's about Moses, Aaron, and Hur. And so it's about the story of the battle with Amalek. So I'll read to you verses 11 and 12. It says, whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. And whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Moses' hands grew weary. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur, H-U-R, held up his hands, one on one side, one on the other side. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. Now, I looked up some information around Hur, H-U-R, and there was not a whole lot to be found. This name is mentioned 3 times in Scripture, and this story is the most well-known Hur out there. So it is slim pickings to say the least, but I found it interesting, and I wanted to touch on this for a lesson for all of us, starting with myself. So, and I'll put a link to the place where I found some information around the other Hurs in the Bible. But Hur was probably a helper to Aaron, but not much is known. And to top it off, he's, like I said, he's mostly well known for this story. And also he's known for, obviously in this story, for one of the guys who held up Moses' arm during the battle with Amalek. Now, for me, I'm like, well, that's not quite your Joshua, your Peter, or your Paul moment of service in the Bible, right? That not quite as glamorous as some other ways that we could serve, right? But therein lies the lesson for humility. Now, I don't know about you, but when I read the Bible and I read a story like this, kind of like reading like a book or a comic book, I don't know about all men, but I think men kind of associate themselves, they identify themselves with one of the characters, right? In the story of this battle, you may read it and say, well, I'd love to be Joshua leading that battle against Amalek for God. And some may say, I would love to be Moses and lead and inspire people to do God's will. But I don't know if any of us actually would read this story and say, oh man, I can't wait to hold up Moses' arm for about 8 hours. Now, I don't know if that is meant to be a little bit funny for our sake, but in the sun for 8 hours, I'm sure that smell was a little ripe. And so I don't know about you either. If I was holding up someone's arms, my arms would probably get tired at some point. So it's a very interesting story. And so, but what we can cherry pick out of this, I believe, is some around service, support. And so we have some questions and some points I want to talk about. So our questions, and I'll do one in the YouTube video. I'm going to ask a poll question, and that poll question is: could you serve if you knew you would never get any recognition? Now, the knee-jerk reaction, all of us are going to say, of course, I don't need recognition. But deep down inside, there's a little bit of all of us that likes that little attaboy, pat on the back. You know, who did this? Well, you know, I just happened to be here and I did it, kind of thing. We all need a little bit of reassurance once in a while. So that's the poll in the YouTube. But our question here is, would you want to serve if you couldn't get any recognition? Now, I won't name names, but I was exposed to a situation where this person was very generous with their money and time. And I noticed that every time they made sure to be maybe printed about it, or there was a video about it. Something was made known of that. And everybody in this group was fawning over this person, how generous this person was. And they actually were. And I just asked the question. I said, you know, do you think that she would be as generous if, and I said she, as generous if you could not advertise who it was? You could not tell anybody. And so it got real quiet. They didn't quite maybe understand the question, but it's something to think about, that do we do the things we do, service, the giving, so that we can get a little bit of notice? The next question is, would you want to serve if you knew you were there to hold up Moses' arms? You know, I don't know if Hur knew what was going to happen. He knew the situation around battle, and that he was going to go up on the mountain with Moses and Aaron. I don't think he knew his role, kind of like Isaac going up with his dad to be sacrificed. I don't think he knew as much as he wanted to know on the trip up, right? So, but also, would you want to take in, if you knew, hey, I'm looking for volunteers to hold up Moses' arm for 8 hours while we fight this battle? I don't know if a whole lot of people are stepping forward. And now it's not in the story here, but would you want to do it again? Like, say you did it once, would you want to do it again, knowing what it entailed after you spent 8 hours doing it the first time? And so that's how service is sometimes. You know, you are maybe called to do something or volunteer to do something, and it's not glamorous. It's actually quite the chore. Not what you expected, but maybe you're expected to do it more than once, and to do it as if working for God. So, a couple of things to pull out of the story. was Moses couldn't do this on his own. Notice that when he tried to do this, he became weak. He needed men around him. He needed Aaron and Hur there to accomplish this task. God could have stepped in and boom, given him the strength to hold his arms up the whole time. But he did not do that. He provided support, other men to stand with Moses to accomplish this task. And there are tasks that we're called to do that we not be able to do on our own, or it may not be the most noteworthy. I'm not quite sure if Moses knew that this was going to be how he spent his day either. And so we're going to get called to serve, and we're not going to get notoriety, may not be glamorous. And I don't know if the full situation here, but if I had to hold up someone's arm, I'm sure I would reconsider maybe the next time they were asking for volunteers. So it is a moment for us to consider our heart when it's tied to volunteering and service. We won't always be the hero in the story. We won't always be someone that gets notoriety, but we are called nonetheless. The Great Commission never says anything about something being glamorous or it's going to be easy. We're just all called to the Great Commission. So in the Truth and Grace section, as we have each week, nothing we ever do in God's service will ever be written in the Bible. So I don't know what Hur felt about after he finished doing that task with Moses and Aaron, but he was mentioned in Scripture. Nothing we ever do will ever be written in the Bible. So Hur is, got a good place in history for his actions. And so in a world full of backpacks and participation trophies and selfies, we have to be okay with that. Then Philippians, our grace section, Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above. Sorry, let's try this again. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interests of others. I'm very glad that Hur approached that situation like that. So today's challenge is sometimes the call isn't always exciting, but if it's a call from God, it will be holy. So I hope this has resonated with someone. I hope that it hits you in a situation that maybe you're considering or praying about stepping up into a service position. Maybe you don't think you're qualified for it. Maybe you don't think that's not that fun. I'm not quite sure to enjoy that. Pray about it and see if God is calling you to it. That is the most important thing. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your week. And we're going to end it a little differently by telling you are uncommon. Guys, have a fantastic day.